I used to work the night shift at a gas station. The gas station was out in the suburbs, and other than having to deal with teenagers fighting in the parking lot or occasional panhandlers, I usually felt pretty safe. Every once in a while, we would get a weirdo or a creepy looking person that would come in late at night and make me feel a little uncomfortable, but nothing compares to this one time. What happened on this night scared me so bad that not only did I have to quit my job, but now I can't even go into a gas station without having a panic attack. It was a little before midnight, and I was behind the register playing video games on my phone when I heard the bell for the front door. When I looked up, the person I saw stepping through the doorway immediately made me uncomfortable. It was a woman. At least I think it was, and it took me a while to understand why she made me feel so awkward. She was tall and skinny with stringy long hair, and as I watched her walk toward the back of the store, I slowly realized what was so off-putting about her. She was dressed head to toe in thick snow gear, and this was in Houston in the middle of summer. Even this late at night, it's blazing hot out, and wearing a thick snow jacket and pants in this heat is just not possible. The snow gear was bright and colorful and kind of out of style. It looked as though she went to Goodwill and bought someone's old snow skiing equipment from the 90s. She even had on the gloves. My first thought was that she was wearing some kind of disguise and maybe she was going to rob me, but I told myself that no, she was probably just a drug addict or something, and she wasn't really a threat to me. I felt a little better when I saw her grab a gas can off the shelf. I figured she had probably just ran out of gas somewhere. I didn't have anything to worry about. She began walking toward me with the gas can in her hands, and I briefly took my eyes off her and focused on the register to try to figure out how to ring up the gas can. And when I looked up, she was right in front of me. That's when I noticed something was very wrong. And now that she was right in front of me, I was able to get a good look at her face. Just the sight of her made my mouth dry up and my stomach twist. I realized then it was more than just the snow gear that was creeping me out. She had on way too much makeup, which is why I'm still not sure if it was a woman. It looked like she went to the hardware store and bought some skin-colored paint and slathered it on her face. It was thick and shiny, and I could see it rubbing off on her collar and forming clumps in her hair. She never blinked. It was like her eyes were glued wide open with the black mascara that was globbed on around them, and her bright red lipstick was laid on just as sloppily as the rest of her face, and she had a smile that seemed so forced, it somehow made her look sad. The entirety of her face looked like it was drawn by a sick child. I was so creeped out that I couldn't look at her. Just the sight of her made my skin pucker with goosebumps. I rang her up as quick as I could, and she said, "Put $2 on pump 5, please." And her voice was really high-pitched, like too high to be a natural voice. She paid with cash, but she struggled to handle the dollar bills due to the ski gloves on her hands. Once she left the store, I watched her go to pump 5 and fill the gas can. Being in the presence of this person scared me so bad that I needed a cigarette. But I wasn't about to go outside while she was still out there, so I decided to go into the back room and sneak a few hits off my vape, which is something I did sometimes when it was raining. I went in the back room and leaned against the rack of soda fountain syrup while I pulled a few hits off my vape to calm my nerves, but I couldn't stop thinking about that woman's face. It was so disturbing that I was worried I was going to have trouble sleeping later that night. I felt like I had just seen a serial killer or something, or somebody pretending to be a human. I was about to take another hit when I heard a thrashing sound out front. I went back into the store and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The woman was back. She was just outside the front door, and the thrashing sound I heard was the sound of metal chains slapping against the door as she was wrapping the chains around the door handles. I screamed, "Hey, stop that!" She looked at me and maintained eye contact while she wrapped the chains around the door handles, then clasping the chains together with the padlock. I wanted to kick the door or do something to prevent her from locking it, but I was worried that if I succeeded, I would be right there next to her and she would attack me. I decided instead to run out the back door and call the police. I dialed 911 on my cell phone as I ran through the store. When I reached the back door, I threw my body into the door expecting it to open, but it only opened about an inch and then stopped. My face slammed into the door. My head was swimming and blood was gushing from my nose, and for a moment I didn't know what was going on. And then I heard a voice. It was coming from my phone on the floor. I picked it up, and it was the 911 operator. She asked me what the emergency was. Hearing this snapped me back to reality. I tried the door again as I talked to the operator. The door would only open just enough so I could see that someone had parked a white car directly in front of the door, preventing it from opening. It took me a second to fully understand the situation, but it made sense now. The creepy lady had locked me in the store. She blocked the back door with her car, and if my dumb ass wasn't too distracted playing video games on my phone, I would have caught her on the cameras outside. Then while I was vaping in the storeroom, she locked the front door with the chains. I was telling the dispatcher that a psycho had locked me in the store when I peeked out into the front, and I saw that the woman was still here. She was doing something. She was over by the pass-through window that we use after midnight when we lock the doors. She had fed a clear plastic hose in through the gap in the window and was working something with her hands outside on the ground. I didn't want to get closer to the woman, but I had to see what she was up to. I crept toward the glass to peek outside. It looked like she was doing something with the gas can, stuffing some kind of device into it and fiddling with the clear hose. I was trying to figure out what she was doing when she looked at me and smiled. Then she started cranking the device with her hands, began pumping gas through the clear hose, spraying gas into the store. The device she had was some kind of hand pump. The spraying gas was soaking everything behind the register. I grabbed the hose with the intention of folding it over and pinching off the flow of gas, but when I grabbed it, the hose began whipping around wildly, completely soaking me in gas. And then it dawned on me that at some point, this psycho was going to light the place on fire, and I was covered with gas. I was so scared that something clicked in me. I put the phone down and ran to grab the fire extinguisher, and I started spraying the gas with the fire extinguisher as it was coming out of the hose. Looking back, I don't think that really helped anything because the lady pulled out her lighter and lit the trail of fumes. Then the entire back of the counter erupted in flames. The heat was so powerful that it burned off my eyebrows and my eyelashes and forced me back. But I already had the fire extinguisher in hand, and I kept spraying the flames down. The entire store filled with smoke and white powder from the fire extinguisher, and within a minute I couldn't see anything but the flames. I just kept spraying. Eventually the extinguisher ran out, but the flames were nearly gone, and I heard sirens in the parking lot, and then the sound of glass breaking as firefighters broke through the front door with their axes and hammers. They found me huddled up near the beer cooler, and a fireman picked me up and carried me out into the parking lot. It didn't take them long to put out the rest of the fire. I had to go to the hospital. The doctor said the burns on my hands and face were pretty minor and would heal up fine. I think I was more upset about not having any eyebrows. The greatest injury I received was the mental scar left from that psycho. I recalled the whole story to the police, and nobody could make any sense of it. They never did find the woman, and the detective working the case told me that the attack could be the work of a possible serial arsonist, but hasn't yet been able to tie it to any other cases. The thing that bothers me the most is that this person exists, not just out in the world, but in my memory. I still see her every night when I close my eyes. I see that false face. I think what has scarred me so badly was not the fire or the fact that she tried to kill me, but that my brain can't make sense of what this person was. like it's stuck in a processing loop, trying to decide if this person was even human.